I drive my car up to the lake as if there's someone to awake. I haven't been to bed for days, I live in a twilight haze. And I set my heart to the setting sun, and I hope that no one else has done it. And the drinks are never far, open up the bar. I miss you every single day. I wait until it's not your way. I hate the way I'm straight into these perfect days.
I think it's hard.
Yeah, I know. It's exciting. My son is desperate to beatbox, which he has no idea of what he's doing. But anyway, do any beatboxers know what they're doing? That is the question that we have this morning to discuss.
Yeah, right. I like it, man.
Hey, so Richie, thanks for coming in, and we're just going to do this wee podcast. Now, you own a business called Thrival.
Yes.
Now, I was having a wee skip through everything, all the information online and stuff.
Yep.
And one thing I noticed is that I couldn't really find the story too much. And I was wondering if you could fill us in on the background of how it came to be.
Well, that's a devastating start that you can't get the story for what the business does. But that's fine. Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I didn't perhaps look that hard.
That's fine. Okay, so I guess Thrival kind of came out of my background is in marketing and advertising, both here and overseas. And when I came back to live in New Zealand about 10 years ago, I kind of got a little bit tired of working for advertising agencies and that sort of thing. And, it's the same sort of thing wherever you do it all over the world. And I thought there was a little bit of a gap or a kind of a distance between kind of three things. And one of them is obviously the brand and marketing side of things and actually talking to customers about whatever product or service you are doing and providing.
Yep.
The other part to it was the kind of customer experience to how that sort of all operates. But the key part to it, I thought, which was kind of interesting, kind of emerging, was this idea around developing culture and talking about what that means for not only the companies that kind of execute these things, but also how you sort of roll that out through those other mediums. Yeah. So it was sort of, the idea is there's three parts to it: culture, the customer piece, and then obviously how you kind of execute that through marketing means.
So how would you describe yourself? Because a lot of places call themselves brand agencies, or and then because you're straddling another place.
Yeah.
Like, who traditionally deals with workplace culture?
Okay, traditionally I think you'd probably say it kind of falls into the human resource, the kind of HR piece, and without being moderately derogatory to that industry, it felt like the culture piece really has to come from the business itself and the people mainly who are operating within that. So it wasn't so much about putting things on walls, that values on walls or all that sort of thing. It's actually trying to kind of find a bit of purpose in what you do, and then kind of turning that into what I would say is sort of actionable kind of things that you can go out and do and talk to, not only with your team, but also with your market as well. So kind of tying all those layers together. Yeah,
and once so the three aspects of your business that you manage or that you help people have strategies towards and stuff like that were the culture and people and the brand and then the customer experience.
That's it.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And in your own experience, you've found that there has been that disconnect between those three things.
I just think particularly in small to medium businesses, which is what New Zealand is made up of.
True.
It doesn't have the customer experience. Certainly doesn't have the focus.
Right.
And that all kind of comes. If you sort of look at holistically, it kind of comes back to that core piece, which is what are we doing here? Why are we doing it? How are we trying to engage with customers with whatever product or service, as you're selling? So it was really just trying to sort of make make a bit of sense of that and find ways that we could give people easy kind of, I guess, approaches to be able to lock some of this stuff away and make it a bit interesting. You know, I think ultimately it's kind of, how do you kind of get people excited? How do you get the team excited?
Yeah.
Rather than just getting them to turn up to work and go, right, well, I've got the next 8 hours here and I'm looking forward to my lunch break and, you know, and I'll take 2 tea breaks and then, you know, going home. So it's about inspiring a little bit of energy and giving people the opportunity to do things that are a bit different.
Yeah, because the word culture, I mean, implies that there's a bit of texture and depth to a business. And so do you find that most businesses kind of naturally have that? They're there to solve a problem, like Kiwi companies, we're kind of, on the whole, you know... Well, let's put it this way. What are the problems that people come to you with? Are they specific kind of... Do they have problems, or is it kind of more of, we could be doing this better?
Look, it comes from different angles. I think the interesting part, and I'll go back to that word because this is a word that kind of really, I think, equally in equal measures is sort of is kind of troubling and also really and fascinating is culture.
Yeah.
And what does that mean if you start to strip it back and you start to look at the layers of what culture actually means? Because it's a very, I mean, I struggle with it a little bit, even though that's what we do, because it feels quite. It's quite generic. It's kind of overplayed.
Yeah.
And people go, "Oh, hey man, we've got a great culture."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, and you could probably name a lot of brands who sort of say, "Oh, it all comes down to our culture."
Yeah.
When you start to look at that, delve into it.
Yeah.
That's what's quite interesting, I think. But what people don't really have a great deal, or don't have a lot of time in their day to day, to really drill into that as a team. Because they've got to do their day jobs. You know? So it's trying to sort of look at what are the layers to that and how do you kind of execute or put together different ways to execute what that might look like for your business.
Yeah, so we've basically kind of got to a point where we almost just give it lip service.
Yeah, well, I think it's easy to say, hey, we've got a great culture. Yeah. And then when you actually drill into that a little bit more and say, okay, well, tell me about your culture, then it starts to get a little bit hazy and things can tend to get a little bit more challenging to kind of drill into, I guess. Yeah.
What are some of the layers of that culture, Richie? I love the geological metaphor there, drilling into like this getting in there.
Yeah. Okay, so layers. Well, look, I think... And I can't give away all my secrets, but I'll give you a couple. No, it's really the layers do come down to, I think, stopping and having a look at how your business is made up and what you're actually trying to achieve. And we all know, without customers, we don't have a business, right? So if we don't have people who are actually wanting to engage with us, spend money with us, come back and utilise us, then ultimately it's difficult to turn a dollar over time. So I think it's looking at all of the connecting points around that end-to-end kind of thing. And the way we look at it is start with internally, have a look at yourself and have a look at what you're doing, what your team's doing, how people interact with each other. And particularly, and this is the word that I'll probably say too much today, but it's about behaviours and how people operate and behave with each other, how they communicate with each other, and ultimately, how do you approach how you do things in the day-to-day to do things better, or do them more effectively, or do them more efficiently. So that's where companies come and they say, well, look, hey, we've got a problem over in this area, and we'll try and pinpoint why things aren't quite gelling in those areas. And generally, it kind of comes back to being about how people are approaching it, or it's attitudinal, behavioural, and quite often that's where the sort of the points of intersection between these areas start to kind of make themselves clear.
Makes sense.
Did it? Good.
Yep, it makes sense. I noticed you advocated team meetings, like just perhaps light-hearted team meetings throughout the day. like every single day?
Yeah. So I think, and we do it in our business every morning. You know, there's a little 15-minute. Okay, what are we all here to do? And just to touch base with everybody. You know, and just sort of go. Okay, we're all here. We've all got these challenges ahead of us today. How can we help each other? And you sort of start the way that you want to kind of set the precedent for the rest of the day, and then basically map out over time what the broader and the bigger kind of parts of what you want to do with your business will look like. So, but definitely those little day-to-day touch points. It just makes everybody. It gives everybody a bit of energy. Gives them the opportunity to sort of come together and then start and say, okay, we're all here. We're all about to go and do whatever we have to do.
Yeah,
makes sense.
So that is it. Because sometimes I can imagine trying to manufacture it. It can be kind of done well, or it can be done poorly.
I've been in cafes, kitchens where that's been manufactured very poorly.
Right.
It's like, well, we kind of know we're meant to be doing this, but they don't do it well. But I've also been around people who do it very well, and it definitely bears a lot of fruit.
But it sounds like, given the right sort of direction, people can kind of practice it and get better at it, or companies can kind of, well, I suppose the business Thrival in itself is implying that you can cultivate it, sort of.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I think it kind of comes back to that concept of, you know, and I hate this is a bit of a buzzword as well, but authenticity and trying to find, well, what is unique to us. And it might only be a couple of things. It doesn't have to be, you know, a list of things that we're so much better at everybody else at. You know, I think it's just trying to find out what, you know, those little spaces that give you the opportunity to...
Yeah, and the edge. Yeah,
to kind of find a little bit of freedom so that you can actually kind of play with those areas that make your business a bit more unique, and particularly your people. So, and here's the thing, if you can actually get the people behind these ideas and then actively encourage them to be a part of it and give them a bit of ownership, then it tends to really give them the opportunity to step up and take it forward. Yeah. And the great cultures of, you know, whether it's business or sport or whatever, they tend to come from the individuals taking ownership of these ideas and actually living and breathing them. Yeah. And that's where you want to kind of get it to.
Yeah, totally. That's cool. So that sounds like sort of almost on a personal level, you know, we have these values, I don't know whether they're inbuilt in us or whatever, but we hold these values somewhere as individuals, and then our behaviours kind of stem from them. And I can kind of see that parallel on a personal level, and sort of inspiring that in your employees, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's having a bit of fun with it, you know. I mean, that's
true.
It's the whole concept of it really is to try and build a bit more, not just be normal and have the day to day. You know, it's actually how can we uplift things a wee bit. Yeah. And as I say, it doesn't have to be overplayed or overburden people. It's actually, let's find some little areas that we all kind of connect on and we all kind of feel like we're doing things.
So that's that authenticity thing. I mean, obviously it's a word that, you know, but when it's real, it works.
Yeah. And look, and here's the absolute kind of, I guess, punchline here is that if you get those things right, your business actually does better. Yeah. So, and that's heavily researched in multiple markets. There's massive amounts of data on that stuff, but it all comes back to if you get people kind of operating in the way that they all feel kind of connected and feel like they're moving the boat forward together, then actually the results come as well. So, and that's when the business owner or the client you're dealing with goes, cool. So yeah, we need to do something about this culture thing. What does that actually look like? And we say, well, if you can kind of put these components together, then you know you're going to do better at the end of the day. There's something that in the mind of the business owner or the directors, whoever you're dealing with, that goes, cool. Okay, we like this idea then. But you can't. I think the key thing to sort of underlie there is that you can't fake it, and it doesn't work. And you can tell those those companies who are
Totally
full of it, you know, and you'll know
100%.
when you kind of interact with them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the customers that come in, I mean, when we see people coming in, grabbing a coffee, I mean, it can be a 2-second kind of thing. We can kind of tell where that person's head's at and whether they're looking forward to going to work or whether they're just kind of struggling.
Yeah.
And man, some people really download a lot of information to us, and they complain about their workplaces or the situation they find themselves in.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of psychologists as well, right?
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah. Probably a bad one, but
Yeah.
it's a good
We
Do what
dish
you
out
can.
free bad advice.
We definitely get people who are perhaps leaving toxic workplaces. They've got their culture, and the culture's deeply embedded in just hopeless case, and so they just have to leave. But we also have people who are parts of organisations that are really good and their cultures are thriving, and they're just really happy.
Yeah.
They're happy to go to work and do something, and they are doing something unique. They are doing just something that they feel really good about.
Yeah, and look, it's an interesting thing, and I go back to that HR thing. You guys will know the labour market at the moment is very tight. You know, there's a lot of jobs out there, but there's not a lot of people to fill them. And we're short on skills and that sort of thing. So, and a lot of people, and once again, it's a research thing, but also just generally in the market, when you're trying to differentiate, if you can have some areas that do kind of point to what makes you different outside of we'll pay you an extra X amount of money, or you get a car park, or if you can try and find some layering that actually does make a point of difference under that umbrella of culture. We're seeing that a lot of people coming into the workforce and may have been in there for the last 5-10 years are looking for those points of difference, whether it's around sustainability or what you're doing and your credentials around in those areas, different areas that actually do matter more to people now than just a paycheck. So
no, it's hard for people to identify that those values are worth more. They're kind of more a little bit kind of priceless in some respects.
Yeah, totally.
But they have a larger impact, because I think almost given all of the people that I can think of, if they start off a job and they're getting paid X amount of dollars, the novelty wears off pretty quickly if it's a shitty place to work.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
So having that extra layer and that extra dimension just adds a whole lot more. Yeah.
Or even going back to basic management, some workplaces don't even know how to give their workers approval. All they want to hear is, like, you've done a great job. They prefer that to a 1-hour meeting that does nothing.
Yeah.
Or even to a little pay rise. They'll prefer, like, you've done a great job, guys. I mean, that's so basic. But some places, they don't even do that. That's absolutely useless. But we're talking about the opposite end of
true.
Of the authenticity, the uniqueness, and having a thriving internal psychology, and it goes out into the culture. And I assume the creative process thrives as well.
Yeah.
So,
for sure. Yeah, and these aren't massively difficult concepts if you boil them down. But they just do take a bit of thought and I guess action. Yeah. What time is it? And that every business, as I say, a lot of businesses can actually get behind this kind of stuff, and it's not difficult. You don't have to, make it overbearing on a business or taxing or anything like that. It's actually just trying to do little things differently that people get value out of. And as I say, a good kind of workplace culture or a good business culture is a place that is consistently kind of evolving in little ways.
Oh yeah.
And going on a bit of a journey to continue to sort of improve itself.
Yeah, growth is massively important to stay, like from a business point of view, to stay like ahead of the bunch or whatever, or to have a competitive edge. But also on a personal level, man, if you're not kind of growing, you're kind of just dying, really.
Yes.
I don't know how true that is, Sounds a bit grim.
Well,
but,
I think
it's kind of true.
Yeah, there's some sort of stat. If you're not
Yeah.
doing 20% better every year, you're going backwards. You know,
Oh,
and I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
that's
true.
one of those
Yep.
stats that you sort of go,
Yeah.
I don't even understand what that means. But there is a sense that if you're not trying different things, you know, things can overtake you, or or people get disengaged, and you know, so there's lots of reason for trying to do things that do continually make the business and the people and everything kind of move in a forward facing direction.
Yeah. So do you, like, what are your like solutions at the end of the day for you to put together and package up for the customers?
Yep.
So do you ever, how far back do you have to go? Do you ever have to go back to the board as far as branding goes, or you're not having to perhaps go that far back? Or
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting part. So there's no sort of one solution fits everybody.
No.
Which is cool, and that's why we have the creative part of the business and we have the comms part of the business.
Oh, cool.
So really, ultimately, when we go in and lead the consulting part up front and talk to the directors and then the team about what they want to do,
Yep.
because it does come from them.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other kind of interesting thing, is that we facilitate.
Yeah.
We kind of make the framework for these answers to kind of emerge. So we don't necessarily often come up with the ta-da moment.
Yeah,
It actually comes from the team.
Yep.
What we do then is turn that into whether it's creative look and feel or brand or marketing stuff, whatever or a comms plan. You kind of take the essence and then sort of take it into that creative platform,
tease it out. Yeah,
which is the exciting part, because that's what we like to do.
Exactly.
And ultimately, a lot of these companies that we deal with have very similar issues, but they just need a different way of expressing them, and executing them.
Yeah, so there's that evolution thing. They've perhaps something has sort of stopped it. There might have been a sticking point.
Yeah.
What happened with COVID? And so do your clients kind of stay on board, and that you're touching base with them like every kind of so often, or is it kind of like
Yeah.
like,
So,
I don't know. Sorry to keep rambling on, but so did COVID kind of was that a point of kind of growth for a lot of businesses? Was it kind of a sticking point where culture just went fell over, or?
I think that, and this COVID thing, which we still probably, just exiting, I hope, from, the last couple of years have been a real test of everything for businesses, for consumers, for every part of society. But the key thing that I think COVID has taught us is that you're better to have a plan, and you're better to have ways of talking openly and freely with your team, and your customers to sort of, I guess, be prepared for the unknown. So from our perspective, COVID did actually it didn't slow things down, but we just had to reformulate how we were kind of dealing with consumers. For our customers, because ultimately there weren't necessarily as much advertising or that kind of promotional kind of stuff. Everything became very internally focused, and focused on how do we deal with work from home? How do we deal with people who are genuinely concerned about what's going on? All those sorts of things, and it all came back to putting together much better communication plans, and being open and finding ways that you could continue to keep the team engaged. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember being on that first period, however long ago it was, on sort of 5, 6, 7 hours a day of these video calls. And at the end of it, you'd just be totally wiped out, because there was just, you've sort of got to be 25, 30% more. Hey, I'm happy, I'm here, on those kinds of things than you would normally if you were just sitting next to somebody talking to them about that.
Totally.
So it was. It really came down to how do you quickly and efficiently kind of get people to feel like they're still a part of the team, everything's okay, And even if it wasn't okay, you're better to kind of upfront that and communicate it to
Have a
them.
bit of transparency.
Totally. Than not.
Yeah.
So it was a fascinating experiment, but glad to be out of it. And I think we've all got some good learnings from it, but ultimately, hopefully, we don't have to all dive back into our work from home bedrooms anytime soon.
Yeah, that was full on, eh? There was a lot of kind of jokes about all of the emails that we would receive. I remember one guy on Facebook saying, man, like, I bought some office furniture off of Flippin' Office Warehouse 3 years ago or something, and I'm pleased to know how they're dealing with COVID now,
Yeah.
'Cause all of a sudden we just got spammed with all of these.
Yeah, you're right.
Pretty kind of funny communications to the customer, at least, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know what was happening internally. Me and Milton didn't need to do too many Zoom calls, did we, Milton?
You guys are probably lucky.
No, I was just thinking that. Yeah. Zero.
Zero Zoom calls, lucky. You're a lucky man.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. But no, it was, as I say, an interesting social experiment, and I think we're all looking forward to moving on from that. And hopefully a lot of companies have... We can already see that, a lot of companies aren't going back the same way they would have 2 years ago, or even a year ago. So there is this, and that's quite an interesting change. So it feels like a lot of companies have kind of grown up a bit and have gone, actually, we can trust our team to work from home. Nice. Most people you speak to who are doing it, and this is, just off, there's no specific sample here, but a lot of people we talk to are like, oh, I'm way more efficient at home. I can get the washing done and all that kind of thing, but bang, I smash through my work as well.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing, No. I think if you do have a good culture and you can trust people, then there's no reason why it can't work.
Yeah, true. It's probably a little bit like homeschooling with kids and education and stuff. I know that homeschooling
we all did that as well, right? Remember?
We did. True. Yeah, but I think from what I understand on before COVID, kids who were homeschooled would sometimes just smash through that work in a matter of hours without all these extra distractions.
Correct.
Yeah. So was your advice, or because presumably you're kind of dealing a lot of the time with the business owners and stuff like that.
Yes.
What do you have any advice for people that perhaps just work at a firm and the workplace is kind of, toxic or whatever? I know that's probably something that gets thrown around heaps as well, but like sometimes Milton and I discuss that because, like I say, our customers can be caught up in the midst of some kind of drama, and we've all experienced it to a greater or lesser degree.
Yep.
Do we stick around and try and grow a little bit of stuff ourselves, or do we move on? I suppose it is.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the question is, how do you deal with this kind of environment if it's not
when it's broken down?
Yeah. Look, there's a couple of things that are interesting in play, and I mentioned it before. There's obviously there's a lot of good opportunities out there at the moment. So if you are kind of unhappy in what you're doing, have a look around. But before you get to that, and that's probably the that kind of last step.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this. So we tend to deal with the directors, owners, the leadership teams of the clients we operate with, because you've got to get their buy-in to allow the program to kind of happen.
Yeah.
Because if they don't believe that there's an opportunity to do this kind of stuff, then it's very difficult from the groundswell to kind of come up.
Yeah.
So if you can get them to go, we're into it, then you're away
top
now.
Down. Yeah.
And to sort of answer your question, it's just important to sort of frame that up. But to answer your question, if an individual is in an operation, in a business or in a job, and they're not enjoying it, I think that you want to try and see who your allies are in that regard. So you're not doing it kind of yourself, or because you'll probably find that if you're finding something that's not quite right or is uncomfortable, there'll be others.
Yeah, true.
So, and I think ultimately you've got to stand up. You've got to kind of raise the hand and go, hey, we think, even if it's a small thing like, hey, we want to start to do, as I said, that could we do a weekly kind of X, Y, and Z, or a daily 10-minute kind of, we call it a ruckus. So it's like we get together, it's loose, it's kind of free flowing.
Yeah.
But it just gives people a little bit of energy at 8:30 or 8:45 in the morning to go, okay, we're all here, we've all got things to do, so let's just connect and then see how we can kind of take things forward for the day.
Yeah.
And I think it's just small things, so try some small steps, and if you're really struggling, I'll push it up to a manager or whatever, but ultimately, you want to come into, because you spend a lot of time at work, you spend a lot of hours and a lot of effort. And one of the things that I realised when I decided to leave working for other people was that I got frustrated with, thinking I was doing a really good job, whether I was or not, who knows. But ultimately it kind of came down to, I don't want to work for anybody anymore because I don't think I'm getting the kind of, as you pointed out before, Milton, the gratitude to say, hey, thanks, that was really great what you did. Because a lot of the time you're overthinking how much, your effort actually ends up kind of doing for the business and all that sort of thing. And often that hey, thanks for that doesn't really kind of show through. So I went, well, I don't want to do that for anybody else anymore. I'm going to go and do it for myself. And and that was it's a as business owners, you guys know, it's a bold step, but it's equally rewarding. So I think with that kind of attitude, I think you've got to, if you are an individual out there, just think about, I spend a lot of time in this day to day. So am I enjoying it? Am I getting things out of it? Am I learning? Am I progressing? And if the answers are no to those things, then find something different to do. There is a world of opportunity. And I think the other part to that is mentally, and in terms of your own sort of day-to-day enjoyment and the psychology of all of that, is you want to be happy. Because that then goes forward into your home life and in your friends and family and all that sort of thing. So you don't want to be kind of coming home bummed out and then everybody else suffers.
So on a corporate level, it's true about that. Those invisible kind of values, how important they are. On a personal level, it's obviously equally as important, because that's what drives us. And if we aren't satisfied, it soon rises up in us, and there's a thing, there's a lump or a block, and then. But I like the idea of finding someone else who's in that same spot, because, like you say, chances are there's more. And then, funnily enough, it's what the business owner kind of should be doing, is getting on the same page with someone else, because he should be getting on, or they should be getting on the page with their employees, or getting everyone on the same page, but.
And the advantage for them, as I mentioned earlier, is that if you can get people who are pumped up about what they're doing, they're more productive, they're more engaged, which ultimately turns into a bit more growth and better outcomes for the owners, and then the better outcomes for the owners, whether they're financial or whatever, hopefully get rewarded back into the people who are actually driving that stuff forward as well. So it's a cycle of improvement, and that's what, and I think that's fundamentally, I've worked in a few overseas markets where there are more layers of complexity in businesses, and a lot more people, and a lot more commerce going on. New Zealand, because we are, as I said, that kind of country of small businesses, we actually don't have the layers, or sometimes, we just have everybody. There's not a sort of a real kind of hierarchy of building your career and all that sort of thing. So you actually have, we lack a little bit of the discipline and the experience to actually build really great businesses. Yeah. So and that's a big work on, I think, for the whole country. It's probably a big statement, but but I do kind of feel that in New Zealand businesses, there's a jack of all trades. For the owner is also the marketing guys, also the sales guys, also the accounting guys, also and then you've got the next layer, and they're doing something, and they're doing 5 things as well. So there's not that kind of those there's that multiple discipline thing, but it's not necessarily very well executed. Yeah.
Mate, we were talking about this the other day. Remember, someone mentioned it, and we were sort of discussing how back in the day, perhaps it was more focused. There was someone, they were employed to do one job, and he mentioned that if he had something to be written, he would take it to
that's right, yeah.
someone else, and they would write it for him. But now he's covering all these different things.
He
and
does it himself now.
Yeah. which just puts more pressure on the individual as a whole.
He's talking about his increased workload, and now he has to do this, and this.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know. I can definitely see how that happens, and I think it's true that as a nation, as many nations, I'm sure they have that inbuilt kind of psychology and stuff and whatever, and it kind of runs through it,
Yeah, I think it's also just there's more layering and there's more potentially more experience at different levels.
Yeah,
and there are much more bigger businesses as well. We don't have a lot of big businesses in this country. No. We are 90% SMBs, and that's kind of the that's the issue there. So it's just trying to facilitate some basics, and that's what we're trying to do with Thrival. Yeah. Whether it is in the discipline of culture or that discipline of brand and marketing or the customer experience thing, which is the one it's probably our smallest part of what we do, but it's so key and so critical.
What's that? Sorry,
the customer experience.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just because a lot of companies get out there and do stuff without. And a lot of companies talk about, customer's most important thing to us, but they actually leave that out of what they actually do and how they actually set themselves to go forward and how they communicate. Yeah. It's very insular. Yeah. So,
where for you, that's a real focal point.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Yeah. That's the key part of what a company should be. And you guys will know, if they don't come in here and get a good experience and a good coffee or whatever, they're going to go, I'll just go somewhere else, But that's also, it's not just the product, it's the people they're engaging with while they're engaging, when they're taking the product,
So I noticed your products go from business cards to web page design.
We love a business card, man. Yeah,
I was looking at them. They look cool, mate.
Thanks.
I didn't see them. Why are they cool?
Yeah. You were into business cards for a while, weren't you, Dave?
I was, actually. Yeah. Because there's the famous scene out of that movie,
The
American Psycho, right?
Yeah,
and it's kind of the...
Exactly.
Yeah, true. Is there what was touched upon in the... Well, no.
It does come up from time to time. So I guess the funny thing is, I always think there's a couple of things that people are really interested in. When you're employing people, it's often the business card, and they're interested in what does the business card look like. And this is probably not as relevant as these days because not many people produce business cards. But and then it's a car park. Do I get a car park? That's kind of the other thing. It's like no. So it could be anything from a business. The point of, and I guess it's possibly slightly. Unusual is that we can help you with the business card all the way through to a large scale customer experience strategy. It just depends on what you actually need. So the business card is a metaphor. Ironically, I was talking to the team yesterday, and we actually won a client out of the fact that somebody gave them their business card, and they said. It was like that moment in the film. It's like, where did you get this business card from? It's like, Thrival did that for us. Like, give me their details. So, right. So, and we got a client that was funny. So,
which is
strange
great.
Things happen.
Yeah,
strange things happen.
I love the idea of those details kind of mattering. Mattering? Shit.
Yeah, I think that's a word.
Is that a word? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a great little logo on a business card. What's that, mate?
David Durrant. Mattering.
Mattering of fact.
And all the fonts and logos. You're into that, Dave?
Yeah, no. I mean you kind of wonder how important it is. But I think, it is. It is.
Oh, there's not a day goes by. And if you are interested in design or just the aesthetic of a company or whatever, that you walk past a company and you go, oh, God, I'd just like to rearrange that and, it'd be nice to do something with that brand, and that's kind of a curse, particularly for the creative team because, they must walk around in circles sometimes smashing their heads against brick walls, but that's part of the deal as well.
Well, I can see some of the brands you've worked with, and they're like well-known brands, and they're beautiful branding.
Yeah,
So-
we can't probably claim all of that, but
Right.
I will.
No problem.
Yeah. But no, I think it's also, this is this other thing around brand, and that's an interesting kind of concept. And brand is, and there's lots of thinking on this stuff as well. But the most simple way to sort of think about a brand is your brand, i.e. your brand, is kind of what people say about you when you're not in the room. So that's how you kind of carry yourself. It's an interesting little thought, right?
It is true.
Yeah.
It is.
And when you talk about the externalization of brand, yes, there is the look and the feel and the kind of what you actually visually see, but it's actually great brands are all the touch points that you get along that journey. And there's good examples of, I won't go into them now, but there's lots of examples of how great brands actually do execute, from not only the way that you get the packaging or the experience through the airline or whatever. It's actually all the way through from when you first get that touch point, when you buy the airline ticket, all the way through to the service, all the way through to the follow up and so on. So and companies that do that really well are ultimately really successful. Over time.
I noticed I went to the Reefton Gin Company.
Yeah.
Man, they're awesome. Like at every level, everything they do is just great.
You notice it when you do interact with a really strong consumer brand, whether it is and I don't mean like a big global or anything. I mean, your example there, or a great restaurant, or that you just know you're going to go there and you're going to get looked after.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be onerous or overbearing. It's just actually, this is a really cool experience. They know what they're doing. So what do? You go back, and what do? You tell people about it, and then they tell people about it. And that whole word of mouth thing helps a lot of businesses grow.
100%.
I've got some questions. Is it all right?
Yeah, far
great.
away.
Yeah. Hospitality, man. I mean, you guys, we're all feeling for this whole environment at the moment. Hospitality, tourism over the last couple of years. How do you kind of get through that sort of thing when your customer base disappears potentially overnight, and then but you've still got rent to pay and all that kind of thing? How do you kind of get over the hurdle, and what are sort of some of your strategies to sort of
far out? That's coll.
I've just heard my voice too much, and it's
all good.
I need to stop talking for a bit.
Well,
You're adapting. Aren't you,
I
Dave?
think so. I think it's
Adapting and
kind of
moving.
embracing change, and but it stems from a need to survive. And along that kind of journey, there's a lot of points where you're questioning whether it's kind of worth it, and when do you stop? But I think, and that's also when you look beyond the financial or the other things, and you're sort of looking for other meaning and value. I mean, for us, like the podcast came out of those things. Sammy Bags, our business Sammy Bags, came out of it, and now we're kind of branching into the take-home products, the jarred food that we do, the pan forte and stuff like that, and sort of going online.
The pan forte, that's a hit.
So we have just kind of branched out, and I don't know, it's been a little bit full on, but it's one of those things. Like, we had a woman on Nerily, and who nearly had cancer, and she referred to it as the best thing that ever happened to her.
Right. Yep.
And I think I can kind of understand how that can happen. I
think I like your word, adapting, and being able to be adaptable. That's and it's from a culture point of view as well. That's kind of one of the, so it's that kind of continually kind of turning the dials without making it onerous or anything like that, but also looking at how you can adapt, because your market is going to be changing constantly. And I think we're in chaotic kind of times still. There's no sort of smooth sailing. And if you look at the kind of macroeconomics of what's going on, it's rough, right? And and none of us really have the answers to what that's going to look like. But it's being able to kind of cope with little changes and being able to kind of just execute those little things.
That's right. And I think for me especially, it's been a challenge just personally on a personal level because it's just so it is so personal and you're so involved, and when you look at your performance or something like that, man, it's kind of like I don't know how you guys look at yourselves, but I'm kind of quite critical, and I'm just like, man, I wish I was already at this point. I wish I'd thought about this before, and I'd already executed it, and blah 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 blah. So it can be quite just tiring and stuff, because you're kind of second guessing.
But if you knew that earlier on, you would have done it, so it wouldn't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah,
hindsight is an interesting thing, isn't it?
It's it has been a crazy time though, but it's having a desire to be better, I suppose. Yeah, constantly improve.
Yeah, and that's I think those are the little disciplines that we try and help customers and clients with is actually, damn, they smell good, man, you shouldn't be doing that. It's there's a cheese scones on the way out. Look at that.
Just checking their bums, if you can sort of knock them and you hear them knock.
Good
means
to go.
they're done.
Right, okay, fantastic. It's just those little disciplines that a lot of clients need to get better at, and I think that's kind of where we can kind of dive in and help, and then it's the fun stuff is what comes out of that, which is the the colourful stuff, the communication stuff, the engagement stuff, which is what really ultimately excites my team and what we do.
Because I was reading about the user experience with the web pages, and how that's evolving. Let's read a little 5-minute thing about it.
Okay,
man, this. And the article is saying like the web pages a few years ago are becoming redundant because they're just so much more sophisticated. They need to be quite intuitive for the user.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So it's that adapt and see what's going on.
Totally,
You've got to readapt.
But I think if you think 5 years ago or 10 years ago, what kind of tools we had, everybody's on their phone, constantly these days. It sort of seems like so those, and everybody's used to better interactions and better experiences in terms of the digital kind of play, so that's a constant kind of work on for lots of different companies, and I think that's certainly something that we could be a lot better at, and
it still feels so new. Does it feel new to you? Like, how much of your career was I don't know, pre-smartphone, pre-flipping computer, all that kind of thing? Because it's kind of sprung upon us pretty quick, I guess, in some respects.
I mean, the best, one of the most embarrassing stories I had was when my first job I got, which was in the early 2000s, would have been in Australia, and we had this thing called email. And I mean, you know what email was, but it was only 5 years old, to generally business use. And so I got to my job, sat down at the computer and went, this is good. And I had an email sitting there. Well, there's an email, and read it, and it's good. It must be lunch soon, And then someone ran in about 3 hours later and said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm doing my job. I'm here doing my job, Like, no idea what I was doing. And he said, well, you're supposed to be at this meeting. I was like, well, what do you mean? How am I supposed to know that? And they're like, you got invited on your email. So I went, what do you mean? And that was the day when you used to have to click the send and receive thing. So, there was no automatic. Right. So they were like, so I went, click. And it was like, I was like, ooh.
Yes.
Day one.
Yeah. To be fair, I still don't think I've got my head. I'm sending out these invitations for people to do this podcast, and I don't think I respond to I haven't even accepted them myself.
Right.
And I'm the creator of them. Do I have to?
That's hard to say.
Okay, cool.
Hard. But you're here.
It's still, that's right.
That reminds me of when I did filled in doing a courier run for a while, and on my first day, like in the morning for the first, up to we start at 5 in the morning, and the first shift goes up to about 9. But I'd forgotten to put my my intercom thing on, and the radio in the car, where you get calls and they go, there's a pickup here and you drop off here and all that sort of thing. No, it's like just cruising along in the morning thinking, man, this is sweet, this job.
It's easy, yeah.
Like, this is easy.
I'm going to be a courier for life.
Yeah. And then I got back and they go, you need to turn your mic on. It's it's a mistake for so many people
Come in,
make.
number 72.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're rogue, but I bet you got all the parcels delivered without any.
Oh, eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long day. It's a sort of a 12-hour day.
Yeah, hard out.
Dave, I just want to, like, the packaging that you do on the Panfortes, man, I mean, that looks beautiful.
Oh, that's my wife that does that.
But that design,
Yeah,
it's so cool. But remember we were talking the other day about the colour navy?
Navy being a trust.
Yeah, a trust.
Yeah.
And
Kind
police
of
officers
evoking.
wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, banks, they're all like blues and insurance
Yeah, I find that
companies.
fascinating, that the perceptual,
Yeah.
physiological perceptual nature and the cultural nature
Yeah.
combining, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of those small details, like the business
Yeah,
card, I
exactly.
guess. But man, it can have quite an impact. Yeah,
Yes.
it's that kind of ripple effect.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I hate to say it, once again, research on that kind of, the theory of colour and how it's utilised in
it's
those
fascinating.
areas. It is. And, when you're doing design creative work, often people will say, well, I don't like that. It's like, why don't you like that? It's because I don't like the colour. It's like, but why don't you like the colour? We get a lot of this kind of stuff. It's like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Why don't you like it? I just don't like it. It's like a sample of one. It's like, it's that's the most frustrating thing. It's like, you're about to roll out some cheese scones. It's like you serve it up and like, I don't like that. You're like, why not? It's like,
It happens. Yeah.
it's not the, what did you say? That it's not tapping.
Yeah. Well, no, it'll be like, there was some people were kind of like wanting the chili on it, or they might want some
that's
extras
right.
in there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, but you're just one person, and we have to kind of satisfy a lot of people.
Yeah, that's right. And so you do get that odd disgruntled customer. It's like, you haven't got the, the chili in the scone, or the cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
right.
old school. It's like, I might go somewhere else. But, you generally work out what most people like.
I'm going to pass you the menu, Richie,
Thank you.
because it's too much talk about food.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers.
Have a wee squiz at that, and
Nice.
let us know what you'd like. Hey, there was I'm going to fire out one more question or one more kind of observation.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who said this, but it was about startups, and each one perhaps being a bit of a cult. Almost like as a necessary kind of ingredient
Yeah.
for it to work. And I mentioned that to someone the other day, and I asked them what they thought. And man, he had a real good response. But do you how do you feel about that? Because it's kind of that's something I've kind of thought about. And I don't know. Sometimes I'm worried that in fact I'm just trying to create a cult.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that works.
Like it might not be healthy. Yeah.
That's that word culture, the cult of culture. It is an interesting kind of area. Look, I think once again it comes back to how a company, whether they are startups are well known for it. You see it in the States. The Googlers and the whatever they kind of call themselves. They sort of, there is that sense of, I think it's kind of an overplayed kind of loyalty thing.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes misplaced as well. So we one of my colleagues, is a massive kind of fan of behavioural science and the art of cult over culture and and the dangers of that sort of stuff. You'll have to get him in at some point because he'd love to do this kind of thing. But there is a sense that I think that's it's a very uncomfortable place for, I think, particularly for New Zealand kind of people and how they operate. I think there's a sense of Kiwis kind of have a bit of a sense of there's a mistrust for that kind of thing. I think broadly, generally, that you just have to, drink the Kool-Aid and do what these big companies think, sorry, not necessarily big companies, but sort of, this is the way we're doing it. This is, we're following. There's that kind of weird sort of.
It's a bit too strong.
I don't
personality, perhaps. Leading a business. And
I've gone for jobs. This is a long time ago as well. At some of these big kind of startups that have gone. And I never get the job. I mean, I don't know why. Because I think it's probably that natural disposition of this is all a bit weird, and then they look at me and they go, "No, he's a bit weird. He's not. He's got to follow our our kind of directional thing."
Are you a little bit of a rebel?
Oh, stop it! No,
no. I mean, or anti-establishment.
I don't know. I don't know. It just, but you never kind of. Get the gig, but I think I think that cult, the art of cult over culture is actually is broadly whilst they might be successfully financially, a lot of them on paper, I don't know. It's not a comfortable place, I think, for a lot of people. No,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, well, the guy that I was talking to the other day about it, he kind of mentioned that he goes, well, everything's kind of cult. He goes, your podcast is kind of like a cult. And I think he said, the flag, the country.
Nation is.
Yeah, the nation.
Basically went through every organisational structure and said it's a cult, which I don't know if that's true. Because
no, probably not. I think there's a positivity, there's a negativity. Like you say, I mean...
Well, it's about excessive... I just looked it up. It's excessive control over members and excessive loyalty and stuff. We don't really have that as a nation.
So if you stick to the true definition of it,
I think the most interesting thing that's probably happened recently was with a lot of the protesting and so on that happened.
Oh yeah,
the mandates and all that kind of thing. I think that kind of brought out not so much a cult piece, but certainly some disaffected.
It did.
Everybody fell into line for so long, and then all of a sudden, I'm not bothered either way how you feel about that, but it certainly brought out this underbelly of kind of distaste towards authority. And that
it really did. It was a good mirror.
Yeah.
How do you think, if you were, this is crazy, probably putting you on the spot, but team of 5 million, how do you feel that fared? Do you think that was like, personally, I mean, I think it was a great move, and it served a purpose at the time. Yeah. But like you say, perhaps it outwore its welcome.
I think there was a, it's always, as you said before, it's easy to look back and go, we could have done things differently. I think that the team of 5 million and how that came out of Wellington and so on, and it was probably they played it the way they sort of thought they could. I mean, it was, there was some stuff that they didn't get right, and there's some stuff that they did get right. So on balance, I think, it was probably fine. Yeah. But I think next time...
politics is a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Next time everybody will go... Everyone will be a little more sceptical, I think, next time. Because a lot of the things that were, the doomsday scenario that was painted never really emerged. No. And it could have, but it wouldn't have been, as potentially as bad as, say, and I think we're all a bit tired of... I think everyone just wants to get back to... And as I say, the idea of communicating and we're not wearing masks and all that sort of kind of carry on. It's kind of a weird thing. I was at the school yesterday picking up kids, and some people had masks on, some people didn't. I was like, well, what do we, because you sort of, and it's like, oh no, you only need them when you're inside. Yeah. When you're outside, it's like, okay, all right. But it's that kind of, that's more that kind of controlling sort of thing. And I know that we are in the back end of that kind of COVID piece, but
no, it's fascinating.
But it is an interesting kind of social experiment, isn't it?
Yeah, it was,
and it was terrible. I remember, going into. I was the during the height of COVID, when there was 0 cases in the South Island.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that when we were all perilously close to imploding. I was at the New World Market, or the supermarket, and. But that was literally the worst place you could ever be, right? And I felt so sorry for those nice people on the checkouts, because they were just getting like dark armies from the whole time from every single consumer who was about to die of this this disease that was which didn't exist at that point. And it was a weird kind of dystopian sort of experiment that kind of, I think was the worst part of that whole gig, right? Vaccines and all that, so fine, whatever, but whatever your view is, but when people in the community can't actually look at each other in a supermarket and go, hey, how you going, then you know you've got a problem. And that was, I just felt that was the worst part of it all.
I remember people coming in here, and they walked into a supermarket without a mask by accident, forgot to take out their pocket or something. And they said, "Man, but that's like the pitchforks are out." And they were. It's like, whoa.
And it's funny how quickly people turn.
100%.
So if there ever was a real kind of massive social kind of implosion of some sort,
that's right.
Well, that was a taster. Taster.
It was, and it happened very quickly, and people got very militant, very, and people who shouldn't be militant. One quick story. It was actually I had a big birthday during the first round of, I'll tell you which number, but it's closer to 30 than 40. All right, it was 40. And so it was my birthday, and we were in level 4 lockdown, and we kind of bent the rules a little bit. We went into Cranmer Square, and with some family, we all sort of socially distanced, across the square, and we were sitting there having a beverage to celebrate it was the day, the 40th, and so we were trying not to, piss anyone off. A cop walked past and sort of waved at us and went, "Hello." Anyway, we were sitting there, and then all of a sudden, this septuagenarian person walked out onto the middle of the thing and just went at it, went, "What do you think you're doing? We are you're breaking the rules, you're breaking the rules of 5 million Jacinda's rules, how dare you?" And we were sort of like, what? So, but it was interesting, because, this was a 70-year-old person who had decided to come out and take umbrage. I love that word, umbrage. At these rule breakers who were just quietly sitting there, not bothering anybody, with once again with 0 cases of the dreaded disease floating. Anyway, but it was really quite fascinating, and of course we just sort of a little bit blown away by it. But that's that whole social experiment sort of drew out that kind of.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
Hopefully never again, eh?
Yeah, I reckon, eh?
Yeah, man.
It's but it has allowed us to kind of have a bit of self-reflection and stuff. As businesses, it's kind of exposed little chinks in our armour, or massive gaping holes. Not even wearing the armour.
But it's also exposed what works, what's stable, and it can weather the storm, sort of thing.
Yeah, well.
And that's normally the authentic stuff, the good value sets.
Yeah.
They're solid as.
Oh, look, this culture thing, this what we do with our clients and so on. They're actually it's very behavioural based. It's actually about better behaviours.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. It's like, if you look after me, I'll look after you.
Yeah,
if we kind of communicate.
That's right.
If we communicate in the right way, everybody knows what we're doing. It makes things easier, and those are the sort of simple kind of things.
There's that community and safety.
That's cool. So I can see that you value relationship, and from what you've said, talking about Thrival and talking about those examples with COVID and stuff like that, just getting back to that basic face-to-face kind of, honesty, talking, and not fear. From a place of kind of.
No, I don't think fear doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't sell well, and I think that's one of the advantages of probably the last couple of years, is that people are a little bit more sceptical of that kind of stuff, and we kind of need to be better and a bit more community focused around these sorts of things. And and not be scared of a lot of this kind of stuff. So I mean, it's getting a bit sort of off topic, but there's lots of ways that if you bring it back to how people operate within that the business and working context, then there are simple things you can do that make it a lot better for people, and those are the sort of work-ons. Those are the sort of simple things that if you get right, everything else kind of starts to lock into place.
Thanks, Richie, for coming in.
Thanks,
and
no problem.
You're an awesome communicator.
I want to hear a few more of those stories, man. You've got loads of them.
No, probably the email and it's terrible. But look, you do what you can. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity to come in.
What do you think you have for brekkie?
Crikey, this all looks pretty good.
Just close your eyes and stick your finger. I'm going to go simple and just go for just the toast, the sourdough. So boring. Brilliant. Perfect.
Sweet as.
Yeah. No,
right.
That's not unusual. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers, man.
guys. Nice one.